Hello, welcome back. I'm Riley, you're you, and this is a YouTube video. It's gonna be a different YouTube video because I just want to make something new. I watched some movies and I feel like talking about them. Shout out to Karsten Runquist. I just like how passionate he is about the movies, and I think I watch movies and I have opinions on them, so I might as well talk about them too. So here we are. So, one of the movies I watched was Palm Springs 2020. Palm Springs was a great movie. I felt horrible after watching it, and I hope that was a part of the vibe they were going for. The movie is about some people in an infinite time loop where the day repeats over and over again. Like Groundhog Day, but I've never watched Groundhog Day, I just know the concept of it. I felt like the movie really pushed this feeling of helplessness and hopelessness that a lot of people, including myself, feel in their lives. The movie was very entertaining, and it made me feel something, so that's good. If the movie makes you feel an emotion, I mean, that's great. I think the movie did really well for what they were trying to push, but at the same time, I felt as if they were trying to push something else, but I couldn't quite pick that thing up. But I wouldn't blame that on the movie, but more on myself. I'm gonna definitely rewatch the movie at some point, and hopefully I pick up on that extra thing. And the movie's only available on Hulu, so if you have access to Hulu, I would definitely watch it. I would give the movie a 90%. Mr. Deeds, 2002. An Adam Sandler movie. There's something comforting about watching a movie with Adam Sandler and his classic personality as the main character. And the movie, I mean, it was good as an Adam Sandler movie, but it didn't really have any message that it was trying to send, so the movie kind of felt empty in that way. Well, not really. It felt like they had a message, but I couldn't pick up on what the message was. Because, I'm gonna spoil it, but you've had 18 years to watch it, so Longfellow Deeds, he's dating this girl that's lying to him, and like at the end he finds out that the whole relationship has been a lie, and then she's like, but I love you though, and he's like, alright, so what's the message supposed to be? That manipulation wins at the end? And that was just the main issue of the movie, that it had no theme or anything. But overall, truly, I think I'd give it like a 65%. It's really just a movie that you watch if you're just trying to get some laughs. The Umbrella Academy, Season 2, 2020. This wasn't a movie, but it was still a story through film, so Umbrella Academy is amazing. Like, Jesus, back when the first season came out, it was great. I dropped everything and I needed to find a mason jar. So you know Season 2 was already hyped for me. So I was biased from the start. So Season 2 came out and I was watching and I was thinking, okay, alright. I wasn't really thinking about whether it was good or not. I was just watching. And then Bad Guy by Billie Eilish played, and I kind of really realized what I was watching. It was truly a case of the first movie was better. It wasn't horrible. It was still good. It just wasn't masterpiece worthy. And it really left me disappointed because the first season was amazing, and I don't know if that was just at the time. I started to rewatch it the first season, and it seems like I'm right that it is just really good, and Season 2 just disappoints. It just seemed so messy as well. Like the writers only thought to write a season's worth of content, then they were just given a second season and took the scrap drafts of Season 1 and threw them in there. There were only like 3 or 4 new things in this season, and none of them were really that exciting. The rest of the season was just branches extending off of the core branches that Season 1 made. Like, if the show was a big oak tree, the biggest branches would be from Season 1, and then the tiniest branches that'll break by even the wind pushing on them were Season 2. Like, there was just nothing new, really. It was just extending from Season 1, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but there wasn't anything to go off from Season 1, really. They had their endpoints, and it seemed like it was all good. I mean, I guess I'm exaggerating. If you watch it, you're not gonna feel exactly how I do at the moment. I'm kind of just playing it up, but I kind of just feel really disappointed. I don't know. It just meant a lot to me if Season 2 had been a good season with its own unique elements and just a good extension to the series. I think everyone can agree with me that a good sequel is not a sequel to a movie, but should be good to play off of itself. If you were to watch the second movie and not have watched the first one, it should be good. You should be not understanding what's going on for some things, because that was like in the first season, but you should still be able to enjoy it for the most part, because it has its own stuff. It should just be good. And to wrap things up, the second season is an underwhelming extension of the series, and frankly, it didn't really leave me desperately waiting for the third season. Maybe my thoughts will change after rewatching, but for now, I'm gonna give it a 75%. Parasite 2019. Parasite was highly reviewed and spoken of in highlights and high praises. It was just like, this is a good movie. And it was just seen as some sort of messiah, a messiah of the movies of 2019. Because it got like Oscars and stuff. And ultimately, all the high praises were its downfall for me. Parasite didn't live up to my expectations of what I expected, and I wouldn't call it a god level movie like they said, but it was a great movie nonetheless. I understand why it gets so much praise, but I just don't find myself enjoying it as much. I don't know. For just like a casual American movie watcher, it wasn't for me. Like, the subtitles were fine. Only thinking back on it, knowing that it was Korean, is kind of weird to me, because in that part, it was fine. So I guess it was a bit immersive that didn't really realize I was reading English subtitles the whole time. I don't really have much to say about it, though. I think my friend tried to tell me about it and couldn't describe it either. Shout out to Roger. It's a chain of events that keeps you interested for the most part. It has a high build-up, which seems very loose and boring, but it makes up for it in the end. If you want to be immediately entertained, watch something else. But if you want a fresh new experience you haven't really seen before, watch Parasite. It was good. It just, I don't know. If you're about to meet some new person and someone says, yeah, they're the best person in the world, he's the best person ever, you're going to have super high expectations of them. So if they come over and you see them and they don't immediately give you like $2,000, you're like, well, they're not the best person in the world. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of a bad example, but yeah, still watch Parasite. I'd give the movie 85%. Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse 2018. I've been wanting to talk about this movie. This movie has kind of been the spark of me wanting to talk about movies, because I've been wanting to make some sort of video about this, but I can't really make a video essay because I can't make that long enough. But here's my section of it. So, Into the Spiderverse is my favorite movie of all time. It's been a great movie since 2018, and it'll be a great movie 10 years after that, 2028, and 2038, I bet. I don't think I hope there's another movie that beats this. If there is, that's going to be another god-level movie. I've watched this movie, I think, around 10 times. Maybe a little less, maybe a little more. And the movie still is amazing. I find myself looking at the movie and finding new things every time I watch it. They consistently have like the number 42, and that just shows up randomly everywhere. If you're just paying attention, you can see. I think the animators I think it was like 10 years. Let me look it up. It took 800 people 4 years to make this movie. And I think those years were well worked because it was amazing. They worked really hard every single day to make that movie amazing. It was amazing to look at. Everything was great. It's just nothing like I've seen before too. It's just the animation and everything. That's great. And it makes me feel like less of a creator because of it. Because it's so much to live up to, but it inspires me at the same time because I want to live up to it. It's so good and I want to create because of it. The movie's just insane to watch, let alone watch and listen to. Crazy. Movies aren't just pictures anymore. The music's great, and the plot and one-liners and the theme, it's all just amazing. If you haven't watched it, Jesus, watch that. If you haven't watched it more than once, do that as well. The movie just can't compare to any other movie I've seen. Like I said, can there be a perfect movie? Yes. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Let me think of a bad part of the movie. Can't think of anything. Let me try again. No. It's all a classic. You know, when you're watching Home Alone on Christmas, you need to watch Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse on Christmas as well. It's just amazing. It's not a Christmas movie, but it's just a great movie, and just you need a year to watch it. You already know what the score is going to be. A Quiet Place 2018. A Quiet Place is an interesting movie. I've been meaning to watch it ever since the days I was on Instagram and people would post clips of the little boy dying and say, LMAO, who did this? And I only really watched it because I had nothing else to do and it was just available on Hulu. The quietness of it all is a lot to handle at first. I was actually just on my phone because I was it's the start of the movie. Everything was just going by. I was just on my phone. And I had to put my phone down because I didn't really have the 20th century logo popping up demanding my attention. And I had to focus with my eyes in order to watch it. And luckily, the movie does a pretty good job at understanding this and transitioning the viewer into it cinematically. Because the beginning, it's not that much of a spoiler, but I'm just gonna a little bit spoil it. There's a little boy in the family and he doesn't quite understand the noise part of life as well. And he is kind of transitioned to it as well. And he's kind of standing for the viewer. Towards the end of the movie, the use of noise slowly shows up and you could barely even tell that it wasn't music playing just a second ago. And I mean that as a good thing because the use of noise and use of no noise, you can't really tell the difference because you're just like in the movie. I didn't find the movie really that great though. I'll say that it was good, and thinking back at it, it's a little better than I remember. It was entertaining and stuff, but this movie didn't have much of a message besides like family, I suppose. Its concept is interesting and they fleshed it out a bit, but it didn't do very well at really putting the viewer in the world fully, I'd say. Before I said that it did, but there are some stuff that kind of feels really weird because some of the dramatic stuff goes on and you're supposed to feel inside the world and like feel emotional about it, but it's hard because it really just seems like some dude yelling when he's not supposed to be yelling. It just comes off weird because he's like, oh! That's like literally the noise he makes, and we're supposed to be like crying from emotion, but I don't feel that. I just see a hairy man yelling, and that kind of makes me think the movie wasn't really visually that interesting either. Without noise, your movie's gonna need some cool visual stuff, and there wasn't really that much stuff. It looked kind of cool, but it could have looked cooler. For me, as of now, off the top of my head, I'm just gonna give it a 75%. Knives Out 2019. Knives Out is amazing from start to finish. The movie knows the roads of making a plot and how to go about showing the viewer what's going on. And it's great. It plays out as a mystery in a lot of aspects, but it fleshes out to be more than that. If you're just watching and listening throughout the entire movie, it's going to pay off. A lot of mysteries do that, but I haven't watched a lot of mysteries, and Knives Out just does it really well. And visually, it does a great job a lot of the time as well. I don't mean like the cinematography and showing the plot. I mean like literal color schemes and stuff. Like the house that it takes place in, it's like its own clue board, and it just looks amazing because there's just knives everywhere for no reason. Because it's this mystery author's house and he just has a bunch of knives, and it's pretty cool. It looks great to look at. There were bits and pieces that seemed kind of out of place, but that's just all movies, I'd say. It didn't distract from the greatness of it all when watching. But the thing was, it wasn't all just super high dramatic things, and it was just chill, and it was almost relaxing to watch these very calm and entertaining things go on. The movie was just very mellow in a good way. I was watching these things go by that were interesting. At the same time, it wasn't acting as if, whoa, this is interesting. It was just letting you decide if it was interesting or not, letting you make your own opinions instead of like playing super dramatic music like dun dun dun. It lets you think for the most part. And I haven't really watched any movies like this, but I really liked it, and I'm gonna have to give it 95%. It was a roller coaster, and you should watch it if you enjoy being entertained. Django Unchained 2012. Django started off pretty slow. It ended up having good action and stuff. It's a bit of a messier movie in terms of storyline, but it was enjoyable to watch it play out at the same time. I will admit that I had stopped an hour in and continued watching it the next day. But with that said, I believe the slow bits made the faster, more intense bits even stronger, and the slower bits had their own type of entertainment to fill the time. That type of entertainment wasn't always for me, but in the end, I'm kind of glad I watched the slower bits because it just helped the movie out. Also, the transitions in the cinematography were were amazing. They weren't just your average cuts between characters talking, but an immersion into the room they were speaking in. I haven't really watched any Quentin Tarantino movies, but I can see why he has so much hype, because it was a good movie. I'm gonna give Django Unchained an 85%. A great movie. And my final movie, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, 2004. Eternal Sunshine was an interesting movie. It was also very confusing, which was the intention of the film, and I sorta liked it, but it was an interesting concept, and I liked how everything kind of connected by the end, but it just felt sort of hollow to me. Like it had meaning, but you could see that meaning from a mile away, and besides that, it didn't have much else from that. The movie also focused too much on things that didn't really matter for any sakes besides connecting plot lines and making the full web of the plot lines. By that I mean, like, there was extra things that were going on that didn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, besides being like, hey, this is how this thing happened in the main plot line because of that weird side plot line that we put in there. So with that all said, if the movie had been half an hour shorter and got rid of like the weird bits that didn't really matter that much, it would have been in its favor. It was interesting to watch this movie too. It was very different good, because there was just a lot of things that made you think, I suppose, and it was cool to watch sometimes. There were cool bits to watch, but those bits were between a bunch of random slow bits that I didn't really like. It was good, but it could have been better. And I'm gonna have to give Eternal Sunshine a 65%. But yeah, that's what I have to say. Again, shout out to Karsten Runquist. He's a lot better of what he does than what I tried today, but I thought I'd give it a shot because everyone has different taste. So I appreciate you all for watching. I don't know if this was interesting to watch or not, but I'll probably end up doing it again because I just had a lot of fun making it. I'm a bit of an amateur at rating movies, number-wise, so my percentages might be a bit off here and there. Let me know any movies I should watch or rewatch for next time. I'm interested on any opinions on literally anything, like the me talking bits and just how the video looked bits. Just say something. I'm not trying to get a bunch of comments in the YouTube video. That's not my intention, but if you want to comment on that, great. But if you just want to message me saying what I can improve on or something, or what I should watch, I don't know. I just think that'd be cool to get people to make me do stuff. Make like a little community thing. I think that might be cool. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But if not, just thanks for listening. I really appreciate it. But yeah, see ya.